We have Brad Lister on the call. He is the mortgage rate and policy specialist here at Lendesk. And we also have Matt joining us from RFA. He's the VP of National Sales. Hi, both. Thanks, Matt, for joining us. We're really excited to hear from you today.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Perfect. So just a little bit of background if you're joining us for the first time. Lendesk is a Canadian technology company, and we are on a mission to modernize the mortgage industry for mortgage professionals and lenders. If you haven't heard, we announced some exciting news a few weeks ago. We acquired Finmo. So we now have a complete suite of products: Finmo, Lender Spotlight, Gateway, and Enterprise Solutions, which is really exciting. And that brings us to servicing over 10,000 mortgage brokers across Canada and 200 lenders using our products. Lendesk is SOC 2 compliant. For those of you, that's just a pretty fancy way of saying we hold ourselves to the highest standard of digital security and data security. So why are we here today? At the heart of it, mortgage professionals need to do it all. Whether you're new to this industry or you've been a mortgage broker for decades, collaborating with other brokers is so important. And I think in today's age with COVID, we've become even more remote, and it's harder to get in touch with your fellow brokers and mentors. And so we wanted to basically crowdsource tips from everyone and collate them all in a quick 20-minute webinar. So what we're actually going to go through today on this webinar is the tips that you have sent through. And we've picked out what we think are some of the 10 best, but we can also have a live discussion or Q&A at the end here where we can talk about even more tips and tricks. So just a couple housekeeping notes. We're going to go through the tips and tricks in a sec. For privacy reasons, we've given you a shout out if your tip has been picked, but we've only put your first name in there. So if you see your tip on here and you see your first name, know that I actually will be getting in touch with you to give you a thank you, a Lendesk swag gift as a thank you for submitting. And then at the end, we'll be doing a Q&A. You can insert your questions into the chat, and we will be recording this webinar. So after this webinar in the next few days, we'll be sending out a recording to everyone so that you can rewatch it. And for anyone who couldn't join us today but registered, we'll be sending it to them as well. Okay, so as you can see, the crowdsourced tip number 1. This was submitted by Crystal, and she says that this business is all about relationships. The more time you put into building them, the more you will gain in return. This includes referral partners, clients, BDMs, underwriters, and new brokers and fellow brokers. Start a mastermind group with other brokers you aspire to be, aka leveling up, and meet monthly to discuss business growth and industry challenges and a way to overcome them. All right, thanks Crystal for submitting that tip. Tip number 2. This was submitted by Mark. Know your numbers. If you don't know where you have been and where you are at, how can you expect to know when you need to adjust? Building a business on rates is a race to the bottom. Sign up to receive the daily blog from Seth Godin. Side note, I've signed up for that as well as a marketer. He's an incredible marketer, so I actually will back Mark up on this tip. He will change the way you look at marketing and rates. And then the third tip, working with a network is like training wheels. Once you know how to ride, the training wheels are of no value. So I thought that was quite an interesting one as well. All right, tip number 3. Smart docs will change your life. So this is actually submitted by Kent. I'd like to think he's referring to Finmo. Finmo has intuitive document collection that is part of the application and submission process on the Finmo software. So I would agree with that. Thanks, Kent, for that one. Okay, crowdsourced tip number 4, submitted by Camby. No matter how busy you are, take the time to find a good CRM system and jump in. The few hours invested will in turn add many, many hours of productivity and sanity to manage and grow your client base. And again, as a marketer, as a side note, I just want to back this tip up as well. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management System, and it's a way to house all of your client data in one place. And if you get a good CRM, there's a lot of things you can do with it. At Lendesk, we use HubSpot, and you can send out market automated emails and reminders, and they really help with client retention. So I would absolutely back Canby up on this tip. All right, another one she submitted was outsource. Stop spending time in your day doing admin activities that someone else could do for you. Hire a coach and or join a mastermind of like-minded mortgage brokers. Okay, tip number 5. Setting the right expectations with your clients is the best advice, whether this be with timeline of closing or when you will be following up. Clients appreciate being in the loop, and a simple email or phone call does wonders. So thank you, Imnit, for submitting this. I actually would love to just give some context to this tip. With all of the tips that we received, this was a reoccurring theme or a trend. And there was lots of different variations of this tips. All right, for the rest of the tips, I might pass it over to you, Brad, and let you kind of go over the next ones that you think are applicable.
Awesome. Crowdsourced tip number 6, portability cannot go from insured to uninsured, actually. And we got quite a few tips that were sort of policy related. And I think it really sort of spoke to making sure you're knowing and understanding what products do and can't do, where you can, where you can place things, and sort of getting to understanding that. So you will see another tip, but I'd have a hint that maybe using tools like Lender Spotlight would be useful to help you try to understand things. Tip number 7 from Jeff. A broker's job is 50% marketing and 50% product, 50% knowledge. And I think that's an excellent sort of tip in helping to get your name and yourself out there, actually. Tip number 8, we honestly promise we didn't put this in here. Use Lender Spotlight. Thanks, Christopher. And we really do. I know I hear it all the time from brokers about how much they value the tool and how lost they feel without it. So thank you for, including it. And it actually came in from a few people that did put Lender Spotlight or mention something similar. Tip number 9, Vivian, always ask the client where they found you. It gives you insight as to how they found you. This provides you an option to reward referrals and teach partner if you're getting low quality. And I think probably as a marketer, Christina, that's definitely a key sort of tip, is to understand maybe maybe this would help you where your marketing is working, where you're being most successful, and to maybe pour your efforts onto that one.
Absolutely. Brad, just to hop in here, I agree with you 100%. I think attribution is so important. Like, the end goal when you convert a client or when you get a client is key, but also understanding where they came from. In marketing, we call it attribution. That's just a fancy way of knowing where it came from. So absolutely agree with Vivian on this one.
And then last tip, number 10, underwriting the deal properly before you submit and verifying all documents is the number 1 key to success. If you do half the work and assume the lender will do the rest, you'll close fewer than half the files. So thanks for that tip, Chantal. And in working on Spotlight over the years, I definitely would pick up this kind of recurring theme from lenders, in that they really don't want just use a colloquialism, a little dog's breakfast of here's a bunch of docs and here's this and here's that and can you send me a commitment. No, Chantal, I think, is speaking to, and I saw this tip too from others. It's tell that full story. Tell the full story on the file, and you're going to have much more success. Thanks for all the tips, everybody. This was really awesome, and I'm wondering, Christina, are you going to turn this into a blog post on our website?
Yeah, Brad, I was just thinking we got about 30, like we got about over 50 tips, and there was definitely some reoccurring themes. So I think I need to share the rest of the tips with everyone else on this group. So let me definitely take that away and think a bit. Brad, just while I have you, I think Greg is on the line but is unable to mute himself. Is there a chance you're able to look into that?
Yes, I can.
Okay, hey, listen, I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on. Can't turn my camera on either, but I had some technical difficulties, but I was listening. Great tips with the eye towards the time. I know you, Christine, you want to hand it over to Matt, but I will say one thing then, since I missed and I apologize again. One of the things I've often said to the team that you may want to consider is Lender Spotlight, of course, we believe is a very powerful tool with the knowledge and everything. But I actually think one of the most powerful features of Lender Spotlight that you ought to look at, and if you want some help walking through it, then I'm sure we can do that for you. But it's our compare feature. As a mortgage professional, when I was really active in the business, one of the things that I'd always done with really good success, frankly, and Lender Spotlight, I think, makes this easier than the way I used to do it. But as a mortgage professional, I think my customers are looking to me to provide options or at least be able to show that I have options. Oftentimes I know from coaching or mastermind groups with mortgage professionals that I have my top lenders and that's where a lot of my business goes, and I understand that. But it's really actually quite good, particularly when I'm competing against banks. When I can create very quickly out of Lender Spotlight, create a compare and share tool that I can then show my customers different options that they might have and why these options, maybe it's mortgage penalties, whatever it might be, these options are better than the one that you're considering at your bank. It helps in my sales efforts. So I know that wasn't one of the tips that were on here. So I thought bonus tip, I would say go familiarize ourselves with the compare feature in Lender Spotlight. So Christine, I know you want to hand it back over to Matt, and so we should do that.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg. That is a really good tip. Compare and share is one of the features we recently released on Lender Spotlight a few months ago. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, I agree, it's worth checking out. All right, so now I'm going to hand it over to Matt from RFA. He is the VP of National Sales and Marketing, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what is going on at RFA at the moment and what we can anticipate from them. So Matt, take it over.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for having me here. I got a little bit to get to, so I'm going to try to get through it as quickly as possible to get everybody out of here. But one of the things that we typically get asked as lenders, I've been on the lender side for about 18 years now, is kind of what makes us different from our competitors and how do we stand out? And I usually answer the question by going back to the agent who asks it to say, what is it about your office and what you do that makes you stand out? There's many more agents and brokers in the community than there are top 15 lenders or lenders that can actually get to the business that you need. So we all kind of are similar in how we want to differentiate ourselves. And I think one of the things that you're going to see over time, over the next year, and what we've tried to do this year, is separate RFA from the monotony of what lenders kind of fall into. And it's not a knock on the rest of the industry. It's really just a different view of looking at what RFA actually is. So just to kind of back up very quickly, RFA started late 80s, early 90s as capital markets. So Realty Financial Advisors. So it was a family office, did very well investing in commercial real estate, retirement communities. It's grown over time. There's about 20 billion in assets. We represent some of the wealthiest families in Canada. So it's privately held. We manage the funds. In 2018, we launched the single family residential space. I joined 1 month after starting. So we funded 1 deal in our first month. We funded 3 deals in our second, and then we started to take off a little bit. We strategically approached a few brokers and gave them some of the best rates. The reason why we can do kind of what we do with rates is because of the way that we've secured our funding and some of the agreements we have in place. So if you think about hedging your bets, you kind of take a little bit up front to buy down rates to make sure you get to a certain goal at the end of the year, as opposed to crossing your fingers and hoping you get to a target. So it's a little more strategic in the way that we kind of approach the industry. By the end of 2018, early 2019, the Street Capital acquisition deal came across our desk. It took us, 9 or 10 months to get that across the line. October 18th, we closed. So we just passed our first year of operating as RFA Bank and RFA Mortgage Corp. And basically what I'll do is I'll explain what that means for brokers and why we should be in your top, I'd say your top 4. I don't want to be your number 1 because it's a lot of pressure on me, but I want to be in the top 4 for sure. So we have RFA Capital, which I discussed. We have RFA Labs, which isn't on here, but RFA Labs kind of gets to the root of, Lendesk and Lender Spotlight. It's our own tech bubble, run by Blake Royer, who's also a partner. So we're all partners. If you ever wanted to work with a lender that has an interest in making sure we create something that you want, RFA is the group. So Blake is a very young gentleman, very, very intelligent. We reverse engineered a couple items that we were approached with. We just felt we could build a better version of it. And over time, now we have RFA Labs. And the idea there is we want to build tech that will suit you and your clients. We've done a focus group for the past few months with top brokers, basically taking us through the broker portal. So we said, give us your five things you absolutely must need, 5 things you couldn't care less about, and then 5 wish list items that are, the Tesla floating in space, never thought you would get them. So we are actually just building our own from scratch. We own the technology, we own the platform, we can change it up. To Greg's point earlier, we can pull things together rather quickly, and that's a huge competitive advantage for us versus our competitors. So we have the labs, we have the capital markets. The prime side is where we house all the A business. So if you think about it, anything A related goes through the prime side on the mortgage corp. It's run by an individual. Her name is Marina Burnish. She's the SVP of Ops. She's also a partner, and I'm pretty sure she's the youngest female owner of a bank/mortgage corp in the history of Canada. I think if you were to look it up. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah,
we did. Perfect. So I don't know where that left off, but basically on the prime side, there's really 4 pillars. It's rate, comp, price, and service. Not necessarily in that order, but all 4 of those are table stakes when it comes to prime lending. So we feel we have a pretty good handle on that. On the prime side, we're going to do 1.5 billion this year. We're going to do 2.5 next year. We made top 10 on the lender share. Our goal is to get to number 7 or number 8, depending if we can take some business from Desjardins. They had a very good year. So, the prime side isn't overly complicated. We do what you'll see with RFA is our communications and our marketing is very unique for the industry. We rebranded ourselves. We had a focus group to identify our voice. Instead of spending a lot of money, you won't see us at events with a lot of presence. We decided to do something a little bit different. So this year we raised over $200,000 for charities. So the last one we did was an Alzheimer's one. And essentially what we do is we give a little bit of extra comp to the broker, but then we do a matching program with the charity as well. So we raised $110,000 for Alzheimer's. We raised $50,000 for Canadian mental health. So that's kind of part of our strategy going forward, in giving back a little bit as much as we can. It's not going to change everything, but it does help a few individuals. The bank side is where we house our B program. So anything B related, Alt A, will go on the bank side. Ken Lee runs our operations over there. He's a good friend of mine. I took him from CMLS. So if there's anybody who loves CMLS, I apologize. I used to work there, but Ken is too good to not want to get. So he's built a great program for us. Everything B is on the bank. So you're going to start to see more communication there. The trick about the B side, and this is where we're getting to the status program, and then I'm done unless there's any questions. But our status, and you'll see on the presentation, this little purple logo up there, is we're called the RFA Insiders. So most lenders have a status program, as I'm sure you're all aware, where you hit certain volume and you get 5 or 10 basis points or 15 basis points once you hit volume. I think our approach is I want to give you access to products that will help you round out your offering. Not every broker can hit 15, 20 million, depending on where you're at. The folks out east have a tougher time getting to certain numbers based on the average volume size. But that doesn't mean I want to neglect their efficiency. And I want them to be, I want to help them. So we want to actually create a partnership with you to help grow your business. If you're only doing 15 million, how do you get to 20? What can I do to help you get to 20? What can I use from a technology perspective to get to 20? And what we're going to do is through this insider group, promotions, pricing, access to products. We're going to do stuff through Lender Spotlight where you have to come here to pick up a code. to send in a deal. You'll get 10 points off. Your client might get something. We just did something, skip the dishes. It was a one-day quick flash in the pan promo. Every deal that's submitted, if it funded, the client got 10 beeps and skip the dishes. So we had some clients with $1,200 skip the dishes gift cards that funded. So we'll do things like that from time to time. And yeah, I mean, I think you're going to see that RFA is a lender that wants to work with brokers. As we often do before COVID, we got together, we had a couple drinks, and we said, you know, what are some pie in the sky options? What can we do? How do we get this company up and running? How do we get brokers to support? And we kind of said, it would be nice if we had a website that we bought that just kind of spoke to it. So we went and did it. We just bought a website, and we're going to build it out, and it's going to be a landing page, and it speaks to brokers being the first choice. And, you know, it's part of our partnership and the longevity of where we see RFA partnering with brokers. So please reach out to your RVP. Let's figure out how to get you to be an insider, because next year we're going to be pushing clients to brokers through social media campaigns. We're going to explore the interest that clients have with brokers and make sure that clients are reaching out to you. They're going to need you more than ever with the amount of information that's going to be put out there in front of them. So we will absolutely help them go to you with our reach. And that's my rambling. I could go on for another 10 minutes. So if you need more, you can call me anytime.
Really, thank you for that. That was great. We are going to move to Q&A now. If you see below on your screen, you'll see a chat there, and a chat box will pop up, and there'll be a little 2 with a blue banner. So if you want to submit a question, please make sure you submit it to all panelists and attendees so we can see it all. If you have a question for Matt about the RFA products he just went through, please do. We're also joined online, as I mentioned, by Brad Lister. He is our mortgage rate and policy expert that just spoke earlier and really knows a ton about mortgage rates and policies. Our Lendesk CRO, Greg Williamson, who you also heard from, who has, you know, been twice awarded Mortgage Broker of the Year and won a Lifetime Achievement Award, is also on the line to answer any questions. So please shoot them through if you have any that you'd like to be answered, or if you've heard anything on the tips and tricks that you want clarification on today. Okay. Don't see any questions coming through. Brad, do you see any questions coming through on your end?
No. There was one earlier. Someone had asked about just getting into the business, any CRMs that you recommended. Christina did speak about HubSpot, and I have seen many others too. So I say just research. Many of the various Facebook groups will talk about them. So certainly do your reading, do your homework.
Right, and Greg will, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead, Greg.
I would just be maybe the controversial view on this, but if I was new in the industry, I probably wouldn't focus that much on what's the CRM that I might use, because I need to focus on building the foundation of my business. And so I've always been a fan of saying that the foundation of my business, particularly the first 12 to 18 months, is, and this is also, I don't know if controversial is the right word, but maybe contrarian with some people. I've always been a fan and always believed that the foundation of my business, whether if I'm new in the business particularly, would be realtors. Sometimes it's like, realtors are so hard to work with, but let's face it, in that building over there where all the realtors are, there's deals every day, 365 days a year. And so that's where the foundation of my business should be. And if I have built like a foundation of 8 to 10 really good realtors that send business to me, then I start to build up a customer list, and then maybe my CRM would become important to me. That's the way I think I would answer that if I was newer in the business.
Great, thanks, Greg. I actually, I saw a question earlier come through on the marketing channel about smart docs. Wondering if you had any context you could provide. There was a tip there that smart docs will change your life. Wondering if there's context you can add on that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Smart Docs was probably, in my view, one of the best features that Finmo ever released. Certainly, I think our users suggest the same thing. What's important about Smart Docs is 2 things. One, Finmo the product is focused obsessively on the borrower experience. How can we make the borrower's experience better, faster, more efficient, less friction? And so Smart Docs is when I press submit on my application, our algorithms automatically will tell the customer what documents I need for them to, I need to get based on how they answer the questions on the application. And why that's important is we learned by accident, frankly, but we learned that consumers go get a lot of their core documents to be able to answer the questions on their application. They go get their pay stub, they go get their tax returns if they're self-employed, they go get their property tax statements because they don't know that information off the top of their head. So they actually go get the documents. So with every other platform that's available, I push submit on the application. It says, hey, thanks for your application, I'll get back to you. With Finmo, they press submit and a list of all the documents is right there. The customer looks down and says, oh man, the documents I have them right here. And so now there's uploading the documents. So as a mortgage professional, I'm getting the application, a consent to pull credit, and core documents, if not all documents, before I even start to actually deal with the customer. It's a game changer from that perspective. But the other thing it does for me as a mortgage professional is efficiency. The way it is today, I have to get the application, I need to analyze the application as a human, and then I need to craft an email, whether I use a template or not, it doesn't matter, it still costs me time. I need to craft the email, then I need to make the document list based on that particular client's application, and then send it out to the client. All of that work is gone for me as a mortgage professional. So multiply that amount of time and effort times all the applications I do, and it starts to really add up, which is probably why when we survey our customers, they've told us that over 50% of the people we surveyed said that Finmo saves me time and helps me grow more business and helps me get more deals. And I think that Smart Docs is a big reason for that.
Awesome.
Greg, we just had a question that came in here. It said, Greg, when will we see this feature at Lendesk?
Which feature? Smart Docs?
I'm assuming that's what Dennis, I assume that's what you're referring to.
Well, Smart Docs is in Finmo. The next big thing that's coming for Lendesk, first of all, is we're connecting Spotlight and Finmo. So you're going to see some information about that actually imminently. And then the next thing for us is to connect all of the lender network, which we expect to be releasing in early Q1. But Smart Documents is already in Finmo today. So the way that I send the customer my application, I get the application and the documents all in one swing.
Okay. Well, we did want to keep this nice and short and sweet because we realize everyone's got busy days. I think Brad hit the nail on the head where we decided that we kind of collate all these tips further into a blog post or similar. And so as an attendee of this webinar and as someone that has registered for this webinar, please look out for an email in the next couple days where we'll collate all these tips into one spot so you can do some further reading. But otherwise, thank you everyone for joining, and we hope to see you next time. And thanks, Greg, Matt, and Brad for chiming in on the content here today.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.